Yeah, Aliwada, to all of you who are online, and so are we live today. As usual, we shall start with a short prayer led by Dr. Fakir Sahib.
نور مولانا شاه كريم الحسيني حاضر إمام حاضر إمام يا مولا حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل ونعم المولى ونعم النصير حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل ونعم المولى ونعم النصير حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل ونعم المولى ونعم النصير نصير الحي القيوم نصير الحي القيوم نصير الحي القيوم İlahi çare biçaregan
Kun.
İlahi rahmeti berbandegan kun
İlahi
İlahi rahmetten deryayı amas Vasacağım katrayı maram tamamas Günahdarim biş azkuhi alvan Günah azbandahu affaz kudam yuvan Kudavata saadat yarima kun Zerahmet yeknezer derkarima kun Ya akremal akremin Ya arhamar rahimin Ya nur balana şah Karimul Hüseyni Hazir İmam.
First of all, I would like to just tell you that with all your prayers, Dr. Saib and I had a long and demanding but a very satisfying tour of Australia and the Middle East, Abu Dhabi and Dubai. And we are back in the cold, grey London climate, which has been a shock to the system. But I was saying to Dr. Saib today that if you live in a country where day after day the sky is gray and it's cold and it's raining and one storm after another is coming in your direction, if you don't have a strong faith, how unbearable would that be? If you don't have interest in Ruhani knowledge, in spiritual Batini knowledge, then how empty would you feel? And whilst we were touring Australia and the Middle East, we met many members of the Jamaat, face to face, as well as through video calls where it was impossible, for instance, to go to Syria at this time. But we met the Mominin there on video calls. And we discovered that how aptly and appropriately and truly Maulana Hazir Imam had mentioned in his speech in 1986 at the banquet in New York in United States. Maulana Hazir Imam had said, there cannot be anywhere in the world, anyone, anywhere in the world who does not have a problem. And we found that every family has one type or another type of problem. And that reminded us of the importance of this dua series that Maulana Hazir Imam has told us in many farmans, that if you recite your dua regularly, knowing what its meanings are, you will never feel alone. You will never feel that you are without support. You will never feel worried and anxious. You will understand what life is all about and how we have to face all these challenges with courage. So this is what has come to my mind today, that I should share this with you, that everybody has problems everywhere because we are an international, global, frontierless sisterhood and brotherhood. We should always remember all members of the Jamaat in our prayers, and we should endeavor more and more to learn about the batini treasures of this Ismaili tariqa, which is focused on the living light of Allah in Imam Zaman. So, with those few words, I would like to now ask Dr. Saib to deliver today's lecture, which afterwards I will try to summarize in English.
या अली मदद सबके हुजूर में और मैं रशीदा साहिबा के साथ मैं भी यही अर्ज़ कर रहा हूँ कि मौला की रूहानी जो ताकत है किस तरह दुनिया में फैल रही है क्योंकि आज रब्बुल इज़्ज़त का नूर तमाम हो गया है, मुकम्मल हो गया है, क्योंकि रब्बुल इज़्ज़त ने कुरान करीम के शुरू में हमें फरमाया कि उसका नूर को कोई बुझा नहीं सकता है, बल्कि वो अपने नूर को मुकम्मल करने वाला है। तो आज अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह मौला का मुबारक नूर मुकम्मल हो गया। आज ज़ाहिर और बातिन में इमाम की जो हुकूमत चल रही है, जिनके पास आंखें हैं, इमाम किस तरह काम करता है, शफ़क़त से, मोहब्बत से, हमदर्दी के साथ जो है उनकी मुबारक सल्तनत चल रही है। तो इसी खुशी और शादमानी में इमाम के जो असरार हैं, जो वेद हैं, उनको जानने के लिए हमें और ज़्यादा मेहनत करनी चाहिए, क्योंकि इमाम के असरार को समझने से बेहद इंसान को खुशी हासिल होती है। यहाँ तक कि दुनिया में कहते हैं कि तकालीफ के लिए दुनिया में सबसे पहले 3 कैटेगरीज हैं। अनबिया की है, अइम्मा-ए ताहिरीन की है, और उसके बाद मोमिनीन बायकीन के लिए तकालीफ है, क्योंकि तकालीफ से मोमिनीन मोमिनात का रूहानी दर्जा बुलंद होता है। क्या कोई कह सकता है कि खुदावंद जो अर्रहमान और रहीम है अपने बंदों को तकलीफ में डालकर क्या उसको खुशी हो सकती है? नहीं, बल्कि खुदावंद अपने बंदों के मरातिब को, दर्जात को बुलंद कर देना चाहता है, इसलिए तकालीफ का कोर्स उनके लिए मुकर्रर है। और जब तक इनसे कोई नहीं गुजरता है तो उनको बुलंद दर्जा नसीब नहीं होता है। दुनिया में इंसानी रूह आई है इसलिए कि वो सख्त मेहनत करे और बुलंद दर्जात को पाले। तो इसलिए कुर्बान आप सब की पाकीज़ा रूहों से, आप सबके पाकीज़ा चेहरों से, कि जिस मकसद के लिए आप और हम सब मिलकर आजिज़ाना कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि दीन हक के हकाइक को, दीन हक के हकाइक को और ज़्यादा बातनी तौर पर समझ सके। اس کی روشنی میں ہم کو معلوم ہوگا کہ امام انسان کی جگلر وین، جس کو رگی جان کہتے ہیں، اور قرآن کریم میں اس کا نام حبل الورید ہے، سے بھی زیادہ نزدیک ہے۔ اور مولانا نے ہمیشہ اپنے مبارک فرامین میں اس مقدس فرمان کو دہرایا ہے کہ ہر چند کہ میں جسمانی طور پر اپنے روحانی بچوں سے الگ ہوتا ہوں، لیکن روحانی لحاظ سے میں ہمیشہ ان کے ساتھ ہوں۔ اور جن حضرات کو یہ یقین کامل ہو تو ان کا مولا مدد دینے کے لیے ہمیشہ ان کے ساتھ ہے، تو وہ مومنہ یا مومن کسی تکلیف سے کس طرح ڈر سکتا ہے یا سکتی ہے۔ تو انہی امیدوں کے ساتھ ہم ہماری مقدس دعا کے اندر ہمارے پاک اماموں نے جو ہمارے لیے مقرر فرمایا ہے اس کو جاننے کی ہم کوشش کریں۔ تو مومنین و مومنات، دعا کے سلسلے میں دو الفاظ، ایک تعوذ ہے، آپ کو یاد ہوگا تعوذ کے معنی ہے اعوذ باللہ، اعوذ باللہ من الشیطان الرجیم۔ تو تعوذ کے معنی ہے یہ کہنا اعوذ باللہ من الشیطان الرجیم، اور اس کے لفظی معنی اعوذ باللہ من الشیطان الرجیم کے ہیں۔ اعوذ معنی میں پناہ مانگتا ہوں رب العزت سے۔ کس سے پناہ مانگ رہا ہے؟ جو شیطان ہے اور جو رجیم ہے۔ شیطان کے معنی ہے پتھراؤ کرنے والا، یعنی جو صراط مستقیم پر چلتا ہے، صراط مستقیم سے ہٹانے کے لیے شیطان اس پر پتھراؤ کرتا ہے۔ لیکن اس پتھراؤ سے بچنے کے لیے مولا نے ہمیں راستہ دکھایا ہے، اور دوسرا راستہ کیا ہے؟ اس کے بعد تسمیہ، تسمیہ یا دوسری اصطلاح ہے بسملہ۔ اور بسملہ یا تسمیہ کے معنی ہے بسم اللہ الرحمن الرحیم کہنا. تو دعا کے سلسلے میں یہ دونوں اصطلاحات کی وضاحت کی کوشش کی گئی ہے. کس کی وضاحت؟ ایک ایسی ہستی کی وضاحت ہے جن کی کتابیں پڑھنے کے لیے مولانا حاضر امام کا ارشاد ہے، اور مولا کا یہ بھی ارشاد ہے کہ ان کی اسکالرشپ اور لرننگ کو جماعت میں وائڈر اسکیل پر پہنچایا جائے. تو اس لیے جس ہستی نے یہ کتاب لکھی ہے انہوں نے اپنے روحانی تجربے کی روشنی میں لکھی ہے. یہ کوئی بکش نالج نہیں ہے کہ یہاں سے وہاں سے ہم نے کچھ مٹیریل جمع کیا اور اس کو پیش کیا. یہ ایسا علم نہیں ہے. یہ ایک ایسا علم ہے جس کے بارے میں آن حضرت نے فرمایا، یعنی حضرت محمد مصطفیٰ صلی اللہ علیہ وآلہ وسلم نے فرمایا. کیا فرمایا؟ تعلموا، معنی علم حاصل کرو، علم سیکھو. کس سے؟ من عالم اہل بیتی، تعلموا من عالم اہل بیتی. علم سیکھو میرے اہل بیت کے عالم سے. علم اور دوسری باتوں میں فرق کرنا بہت مشکل کام ہے. اس لیے پیغمبر نے خود ارشاد فرمایا کہ علم کس کو کہتے ہیں؟ علم کا مالک عالم اہل بیت ہے. یعنی زمانے کا امام، ہادی برحق. ہادی کے معنی ہے ہدایت کرنے والا، جو دنیا میں ہمیشہ حاضر اور ناظر ہے. فرماتے ہیں کہ امام سے علم حاصل کرنے کا کیا طریقہ ہے؟ ظاہر میں مولا نے کوئی مکتب، کوئی مدرسہ یا اسکول نہیں بنائی، ہے جہاں مولا مومنین و مومنات کو تعلیم دے، تو پھر امام سے تعلیم لینے کے کیا معنی ہے؟ امام سے تعلیم لینے کے معنی ہے زمانے کے امام کی فرمان برداری۔ اگر کوئی مومن فرمان برداری میں کامیاب ہو جائے تو خداوند اپنی بے پایان رحمت سے اس مومن کے پاس آ کر خود تعلیم دینے لگتے ہیں۔ اگر مولا یہ نہ کرے تو کہاں امام کا مقام اور کہاں غریب بندوں کی رسائی، یعنی پہنچنا۔ تو اس لیے نیک بخت مومنین و مومنات کو مولا خود تعلیم دیتا ہے۔ یہ ہوا تعلموا من عالم اہل بیت، علم سیکھو میرے اہل بیت کے عالم سے۔ اگر یہ ہر ایک کے لیے پاسبل نہ ہو تو دوسری صورت پیغمبر نے یہ دی، او ممن تعلم او ممن تعلم من عالم اہل بیت، تعلم من عالم اہل بیت تنجو من النار، تنجو من النار۔ اگر یہ حاصل نہ ہو تو دوسری صورت یہ ہے کہ جس نے وقت مومن یا مومنہ نے امام سے علم حاصل کیا ہے ان سے علم حاصل کرے تو یہ دوسرے درجے کا علم ہوگا۔ اور جن کو یہ علم مل جاتا ہے ان کو آتشی جہالت، نادانی کی آگ سے ان کو نجات مل جاتی ہے۔ تنجو کے معنی ہے نجات پاؤ، من النار آگ سے۔ آگ سے یہاں فزیکل آگ نہیں ہے بلکہ جہالت و نادانی کی آگ ہے۔ تو اس لیے مومنین و مومنات اس کتاب کے اندر جو علم ہے وہ ایک ایسا علم ہے۔ اس عظیم ہستی نے، اس عاشق صادق نے مولا سے علم حاصل کیا ہے اور ہم کو ان سے یہ علم حاصل ہو رہا ہے۔ تو الحمدللہ تعوذ اور تسمیہ کے بعد آج ہم الکتاب تک پہنچ رہے ہیں۔ الکتاب قرآن کریم میں جو پہلا سورہ ہے اس کو سورۃ الفاتحہ کہتے ہیں۔ فتح کے دو معنی ہیں۔ فتح وکٹری کو بھی کہتے ہیں اور کھولنے کو بھی کہتے ہیں۔ اس کا مطلب یہ ہے کہ جو اس سورے کو اچھی طرح سے سمجھے گا اس کو اپنے نفس امارہ پر فتح یعنی وکٹری اس کو حاصل ہوگی۔ فتح حاصل ہوگی نفس امارہ پر۔ دوسرے معنی یہ ہے کہ الکتاب لفظی معنی ہے جو کتاب کا ایسنس ہے، اس کی اوریجن ہے۔ یہ اوریجن اتنا کمپریہنسو ہے کہ اس کے اندر قرآن کریم کے تمام حقائق سموئے ہوئے ہیں۔ اس کے اندر قرآن کریم کے تمام حقائق سموئے ہوئے ہیں۔ اس کی مثال ایک درخت کے بیج سے دی جاتی ہے جس کا بارہا ذکر ہوتے رہا ہے۔ کیونکہ یہ بہت بڑی پرحکمت مثال ہے۔ آپ کسی بھی میوہ درخت کے ایک گٹھلی کو لیں یا سیڈ کو لیں تو بظاہر یہ گٹھلی ایک چھوٹی سی چیز ہے۔ کسی کو بھی یقین نہیں آئے گا جو نادان ہے کہ اس کے اندر ایک درخت سمایا ہوا ہے۔ لیکن اگر کوئی تجربہ کار ایکسپیرینسڈ زمیندار ہے تو اس کو یقیناً معلوم ہے کہ اسی گٹھلی کے اندر ایک پورا درخت سمایا ہوا ہے۔ اس لیے اس گٹھلی سے درخت کس طرح پیدا ہوتا ہے، اس کا کیا کورس ہے، اس گٹھلی کو زمین کے اندر بو دیتا ہے، پھر اس سے گریجولی بتدریج آہستہ آہستہ بڑھتے ہوئے یہ چھوٹی سی گٹھلی ایک بڑے درخت میں بدل جاتی ہے۔ کہ قرآن کریم کی یہ شان ہے۔ تو قرآن کریم میں جتنی مثالیں ہیں، جتنی حکمتیں ہیں، جتنے سیکرٹس ہیں، وہ سب کے سب اسی سورے میں سمائے ہوئے ہیں۔ اور اس کی عظمت کا یہ شان ہے کہ پیغمبر نے ایک حدیث میں فرمایا کہ ام الکتاب ایک طرف سے سورہ فاتحہ ہے، اور دوسری طرف سے علی زمان ہے، مولانا مرتضی علی علیہ الصلاۃ والسلام ہے۔ کیونکہ خدا کی کتاب کی دو صورتیں ہیں، ایک باطنی صورت ہے اور ایک ظاہری صورت ہے۔ باطنی صورت کو قرآن کریم میں کتاب منیر کہا گیا ہے۔ یعنی یہ تمام اسرار امام کے باطن میں نورانی صورت میں ہیں، ظاہری صورت میں نہیں ہے۔ آپ ذرا سوچ لیجئے، جب قرآن کریم میں فرمایا گیا ہے وَكُلَّ شَيْءٍ أَحْصَيْنَاهُ فِي إِمَامٍ مُبِينٍ، جب خدا فرماتا ہے کہ میں نے ہر چیز کو امام مبین میں، جو مینیفیسٹ امام ہے، اس کے اندر سما دیا ہے، تو کیا امام نے ہر چیز کو کیا جسمانی صورت میں سما دیا ہے؟ خدا ایسا مجبور، ایسی ہستی نہیں ہے قربان، اس کے پاس بہت سے وسائل ہیں۔ یہ جسمانی چیزوں کو روحانی صورت دینا قادر مطلق کا کام ہے۔ اس لیے ہر چیز امام کے اندر تو ہے، لیکن وہ جسمانی صورت میں نہیں ہے، نورانی صورت میں ہے۔ اور دوسری طرف یہی جو نورانی کتاب ہے، جب جسمانی دنیا میں آتی ہے، پیغمبر کے قلب مبارک پر، تو جب تک پیغمبر کے دل میں ہے تو وہ نورانی صورت ہی میں ہے. جب پیغمبر پر وحی آتی ہے تو جسمانی صورت میں نہیں ہے. اس میں ہاتھی کا ذکر ہے، اونٹ کا ذکر ہے، پہاڑوں کا ذکر ہے. یہ کوئی جسمانی صورت میں نہیں آتے ہیں پیغمبر پر. یہ سب نورانی صورت میں آتے ہیں. اور پیغمبر اپنی زبان مبارک سے ان کو اپنی اپنی زبان میں بیان کرتے ہیں. تو ہر پیغمبر کی قوم کی زبان کے لحاظ سے ایک جسمانی کتاب بن جاتی ہے. اور اس کتاب کی زبان کا تعلق اس قوم سے ہے. جیسے حضرت موسیٰ کی کتاب توریت ہبرو زبان میں ہے، اور آن حضرت پر جو کتاب نورانی صورت میں نازل ہوئی اس کو جب بیان کیا اپنی قوم کی زبان یعنی عربی میں، تو قرآن کریم عربی زبان میں ہے. لیکن جب تک یہ کتاب روحانی صورت میں ہے، نورانی صورت میں ہے، تو وہاں پر ایک ہی کتاب ہے جو ہر پیغمبر پر نازل ہوتی ہے. اور اس لیے یہ جو ظاہری کتاب ہے وہ بہت ہی عجیب و غریب حکمتوں کے ساتھ، الفاظ کے ساتھ، جن کے لیے پیغمبر نے فرمایا کہ ان کو رب العزت سے جوامع الکلم دیا گیا ہے. جوامع الکلم، the most comprehensive words. تو اس لیے قرآن کی مثالوں کے ایک یا دو معنی سے کام پورا نہیں ہوتا ہے. ان کے اندر بہت سے معانی ہیں. ان معانی کو تاویلات کہا جاتا ہے یا باطنی میننگ کہے جاتے ہیں. اس لیے پیغمبر نے فرمایا ایک روایت کے مطابق قرآن کے ہر ظاہر کا ایک باطن ہے، اور ہر باطن کے اندر 7 باطن ہے. دوسری روایت کے مطابق ہر باطن کے اندر 70 باطن ہے. اور مولانا جعفر صادق کے ارشاد کے مطابق ان کے مقدس فرمان کے مطابق مولا نے کسی مرید سے فرمایا وَلَوْ اسْتَزَادَنَا، وَلَوْ استزادنا लजिदना। मौलाना ने फरमाया अगर कोई मुरीद अपने इमाम से 70 से भी ज्यादा मानी तलब करे तो मैं 70 से भी ज्यादा मानी देने के लिए मैं हाजिर और नाजिर हूँ। तो मेरे ख्याल में सारी दस जो है उम्मुल किताब के शुरू करने से पहले ये चंद अल्फाज ज़रूरी थे, और फिर इंशाल्लाह आगे जो है उस्ताद गिरामी ने जो जो तशरीहात की हैं उनकी रोशनी में कुछ कोशिश की जाएगी।
Okay, so I shall try and put all of that into the international language of English. Dr. Saib starts by saying that our journeys, recent journeys, which have been quite long, have shown us that Maulana Hazir Imam's spiritual strength is spreading in the world. And we can see, literally, we can see that the Holy Quran's guarantee that the Noor of Allah cannot be extinguished. Therefore, those who have eyes can see how the Imam's work is spreading in the world from through his love and affection for humanity and also for his Jamaat. And I think maybe as an example, I should tell you that now in Australia, the Aga Khan Foundation has been established, and also we learned that a new purpose-built Jamaat Khana is going to be built in the city of Melbourne. And we also heard how the Jamaat is increasing in numbers, and we also learned that there are 800 Baitul Ilm children in the Jamaat of Australia. So those are a few examples of why he and I say that if you have eyes to see and appreciate, then you can see how the love and the care and the work that the Imam is doing for the whole of humanity is spreading. And then Fakir Sahib mentioned that difficulties are not new. In fact, in Islam, we understand that there are three types of difficulties. Prophets have difficulties, awliya, imams have difficulties, and momins have difficulties. I think one very popular question in the Jamaat is, why do faithful people, good people, momins, why do they suffer? The answer is that this is a very important point, that challenges and difficulties are necessary for spiritual elevation. We all say that God is merciful, is compassionate, and He is not going to just give difficulties to us out of pleasure. There has to be some wisdom in it. And the wisdom is that through the challenges and difficulties, if we face them with courage and patience and with prayer, then the spiritual status of Mu'mineen is elevated. The human soul has come to this world to struggle hard and to attain a higher spiritual status. We are blessed that we are working hard to understand the realities of our true religion more and more in an esoteric and in a batini way. The Quran talks about Hablul Warid, which means jugular vein, that God is closer to the human beings than their jugular vein. And I think if you connect this to what the Imam says in many farmans, it says, I may be leaving you physically today, but my spiritual children should know that spiritually I am always with them. And he has also said that he has placed his Mubarak hand on the shoulder of every single person around the globe. who has done bayah to him. And he has also said that no mountain, no ocean, no desert can keep the Imam's love from his murids. Therefore, it is very important for us to reiterate that whoever has this type of perfect certainty about the presence, the Nurani, the spiritual presence of the Imam, then how can they ever be afraid of any physical challenges? Having started like that, Dr. Saib then mentioned that we have already covered two very big topics, ta'awuz, which is A'udhu billahi minash shaitani rajim, which is that we seek refuge in God from the shaitan who is stoning as well as is stoned. And shaitan tries to stone those who are on Sirat al-Mustaqim. This is a very important point. People think that Shaitan is only interested in people who are following him. No, he is more interested in people who are rejecting him. And those are the people who are on the Sirat al-Mustaqim. And so Mola shows his murids ways in which to save themselves from this type of Shaitan's endeavors. And then we have also covered the topic of Tasmiyah, which is Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. And we have learned all these secrets and deeper meanings of Ta'awuz and Tasmiyah through the book, the Dua Essence of Ibadat. So it's important to say that this book has written by Allama Buzurgwar, Allama Nasiruddin Nasir Hunzai Sahib, and it is about him that the Imam of the time has made this statement. He has made this Mubarak Farman that ways and means should be found whereby Allama Sahib's scholarship and learning can have a wider Jamaati exposure. The important thing is this knowledge in the books of Allama Sahib is not bookish knowledge. It is not, he has not gone to a library or to a resource center and collected facts from here, there, and everywhere. No, his knowledge is experiential knowledge. He has undergone the experience through which he can write such realities about such deep meanings of our faith. And the proof of this is that the Holy Prophet himself had said that Mu'mineen should seek, learn ilm from the alim of my Ahl al-Bayt. In other words, the Prophet said that knowledge, real knowledge, is what you learn directly from the Imam of the time, because all knowledge belongs to the Imam of the time, who is the true guide, the Hadi Barhak, and who is always living and present. How do you acquire knowledge from the Alimi Ahlul Bayt? You will not find that the Imams have set up schools for Batini knowledge. No. Therefore, what it means is that if Mu'mins can develop perfect obedience of the guidance of the Imam of the time, then such a Mu'min is successful in his ibadat, and if they are successful to that extent, the Imam in his Nurani personality comes to such moments and teaches them this knowledge. You know that in all our Baitul Khayal Farmans, Mawlana Hazir Imam tells us clearly, this is not something which you can get yourself. It is something which is granted, given to you. But the Prophet also appreciated that it is not possible for every moment to get such knowledge directly from the Imam. So in his hadith, he added a second sentence. So he said that if you cannot get knowledge directly from the alim of Ahlul Bayt, then you should get it أو ممن تعلم من alimi Ahlul Bayti tanju min an-nar, which means that the second way to acquire this knowledge is from the one who has learned it directly from the Imam. Such a mu'min as Allama Sahib, all our peers and hujjats, they had all gone through this experiential knowledge, which is why they have bestowed our Jamaat with such a huge heritage of intellectual wealth. And when we acquire knowledge from such blessed souls, that is when we are saved from the fire of ignorance. So, this book, which we are following in our lecture series, Dua, Essence of Ibadat, is such a book that Allama Sahib acquired this knowledge, or rather, he was granted this blessed knowledge by the Alime Ahlul Bayt. So, today, having given this understanding once again, perhaps refreshing it in the minds of some of you, we are now going to proceed to the Suratul Fatiha, which is also called Ummul Kitab. Suratul Fatiha has at least two meanings, if not more. One of its meanings is victory, and another meaning is the opening surah or the opening chapter or the opening of the Quran. So whoever understands this chapter, this short 7 ayat surah, will have victory over their carnal soul, their nafs ammara. That's one way of saying the meaning victory applies here. Ummul Kitab also means the essence or origin, which is so comprehensive that it encompasses all the realities of the Holy Quran. And I think as we progress with the explanation of Suratul Fatiha, you will all be amazed how long it will take to cover all its themes and topics, because it is the summary. In other words, it is a summary of the entire Quran. And of course, Dr. Saib has used time and again, repeatedly, the example of how everything can be, in one contained in something, the way the whole Quran is contained in the Surah Al-Fatiha. The example that he has used many times is how a small seed can contain an entire tree. And for people who are not uh, aware of real knowledge, they might find it difficult to say, how can a little seed, we are every day we eat fruits like apples or pears, and we quite happily throw the seeds away. But each of those seeds actually contains a tree. However, only a farmer or an orchard grower will know the secret of it, that this seed needs to go in the earth, and then it will gradually grow into a fruit-bearing big tree. So the Quran's glory is similar. All its examples, secrets, wisdoms, every single one of them is in this surah of Fatiha, which is why the Prophet had said in a hadith, Ummul Kitab from one aspect is Surah Fatiha, and from the other aspect it is Mawlana Ali. So, God's book has a Batini form and a Zahiri form. In the Batini form, it is called also Kitab-e Munir, the luminous book. And that phrase is in the Holy Quran itself. That is, what does this Nurani Kitab-e Munir mean? It means all the Batini secrets are in the Imam's light. And this is why the Quran also says, and we recite in our dua in the second part, وَكُلَّ شَيْءٍ أَصْفَيْنَاهُ فِي إِمَامٍ مُبِينٍ. God has encompassed every single thing in the manifest Imam. Of course, this is not encompassed in a physical form. And God has many means. He is Qadir Mutlaq. He is perfect. He has many means of giving a spiritual form to his knowledge. The book, we know the Quran descended on the Prophet's heart in a luminous form as wahi or revelation. And this wahi mentions things like elephant, camels, mountains, etc., They are not in the Imam in a material form, of course. The Holy Prophet, what do the Holy Prophets, not only Prophet Muhammad, all the great Natiks, they all described or narrated in the language of their communities what they experienced in a luminous form. And this is how that luminous form, which is in the prophet's heart, when he articulates it in the language of his people, becomes a physical book. So, for instance, the Torah, the book of Hazrat Musa, is in Hebrew, whereas the Quran is in the Arabic language, which is the language of the community of the Holy Prophet. But the important point to realize and make a note of is that in its Nurani form, Kitab-e-Munir is one single book. And all prophets have access to that, and then they are able to describe its Nurani form in the physical language of their community. And this is why the Holy Prophet is described as being Jawami ul Kalim, that he has the most comprehensive words. The words may be few. This is why the Quran is only 114 surahs. It's 6,666 ayats. It's not like the Encyclopedia Britannica. It is only a single volume. But these are the most comprehensive words of the Quran. Every word has more than one meaning or ta'wil or batin, which is why you have heard many times that the Holy Prophet has several hadiths. He had said that for every zahir of the Quran, there is a batin. And in fact, there are 7 batins. In another narration, for every batin, there are 70 batins. And we have also mentioned in our previous lectures the Mubarak Farman of Mawlana Jafar Sadiq, who told a Mu'min who was seeking more meanings of the Quranic verses. Mawla said to him, Wallahu istazadna lazidna, which means that if you come to me with the same ayat 70 times, I will give you 70 different meanings. But if you want more than 70 meanings, I will give you more than 70 meanings. So this is important that as we go through the meanings of Surah Al-Hamd or Surah Al-Fatiha, we remember that it has many, many meanings, which may not all be in this present book. There is still scope for all of us to, through our ibadat and through our farman bardari, to also be in that blessed position of receiving direct knowledge, inshallah. That is our prayer and wish for everybody.
Amen.
So I have done the summary in English, and perhaps we can now have questions and answers, which I know is part of our way of our methodology of learning. So the chat should be open now. Any hands up yet? Or okay. There may be questions from the previous recorded uh, sessions. If you want to ask those as well, we are happy to answer if we can. We will try our best. I think everybody is trying to absorb what they have heard today from a live session rather than a recorded one. Uh, but maybe somebody would like to comment. You can also comment and you can also ask questions. Yeah.
Yeah, Ali Madhu.
Mawla Ali Mother Saida?
I just have a quick question. It might not be from the session, but it is from the dua part.
Yes.
Um, I am was trying to look for a word tabarakta.
Mhm.
What is the meaning of tabarakta? I was trying to read in Monoreality and stuff. I could understand about a little bit, but if you can shed some light, that will be good because I have been thinking about that word tabarakta. Thank you.
Tabarak, tabarak. This word, she has been thinking about it a lot. And
Yeah.
yes.
Tabarak is a very important word. It comes from baraka.
Mm.
Tabaraka. You know, Allah is bestowing barakat. And meaning of baraka is so comprehensive, as we mentioned, that Mawlana Hazir Imam has mentioned in one of, or maybe more than one farmas, that there is no translation in any Western languages which can do justice with its comprehensive meanings, means the barakah. So the barakah never ends. If Allah has given barakah to a mu'min or mu'minah, and that is multiplying constantly, and there is no end to this barakah.
Okay, Saida, of course, when we eventually come to the second part of the dua, we will look at that phrase again and connect it to some Quranic ayats. But for the moment, I think barakah, meaning abundance, multiplication of blessings, for which the example in the Quran is the one grain of seed. If you grow it, it grows 7 years, and each ear has 100 seeds, so 1 into 700. And then if you plant those 700, what is the multiplication after that? You need a machine to calculate that, right? This type of abundance, multiplication of blessings. And such blessings are not only physical blessings, they may be more spiritual and intellectual. And I think you will probably appreciate, if you have been regularly attending these lectures, that the more you understand your dua, the pleasure, the satisfaction, the contentment of reciting the dua increases. And how it increases, you cannot calculate. That is barakah.
Thank you so much. It's going to help me going further. Thank you so much. I will look forward to another lectures too. Thank you.
Amen. Amen. Okay. Okay, we have one hand up from Sarfaz Karim. Yes, Yali Mother Sarfraz Sahib.
Yali Madad Sahib and Yali Madad Mama. I have a question that Sahib mentioned in his lecture that the Batini Surat Kitab Munir descended on the heart of Anhar Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So it was one time or it was gradual. So if it that could be elaborated, thank you.
ये जो वही हार्ट पर आई
हाँ
उन किताब मुनीर पर थोड़ा सा ज्यादा उसको जान रहे डॉक्टर साहब है डॉक्टर सरफराज है राइट
हाँ.
It's
Well, as there are many meanings, so according to understanding of people, the Holy Prophet has explained in different ways. So, well, the most important thing when a prophet or an Arif is completing his or her journey, at the end of this journey, the Kitab-i Munir is granted to him or her. But when he or she is explaining, so then that explanation depends according to the standard of the questioner. So then the Holy Prophet will explain to him according to their understanding. And sometimes the Holy Prophet says that I will wait. If people were asking questions, then the Prophet used to say that I will wait what Allah is going to send the revelation. But in real sense, from Batinic sense, it is the Prophet himself that he is telling people according to their understanding. But it really, the knowledge is already in himself.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sahib. Thank you.
Dr. Sarfraz, I think that when we see the Imam of the time in a physical body, for us it's very difficult to see through his physical form how he can be Wakula Shayn Asaynahu fi Imami Mubin. But if you think of the number of examples of how the Imam knows well in advance what is going to happen to the Jamaat. I think I want to particularly refer you to the recent, at the time of the Salgira on 13 December, that the dot Ismaili website had the interview of Princess Zahra. And I hope you have had a chance to look at it not once, but maybe more than once, because in this interview, Princess Zahra gave us a hint. She was asked by the questioner uh, why the Imam does not do something about all the troubles which are happening all around the world, something to that effect. And Princess Zahra gave a very, very amazing answer. She said, my father does not react to crises. His planning is for 100, 500 years ahead. So anybody who can plan 100 or 500 years ahead must have that type of knowledge. So my request to you, humble request to you and to anybody who is also listening now, if you have not already seen this interview, please do so. It is very, very important, okay? Okay, we have a few on the chat. I will take those first and then I will come to the yellow hands. Okay. All right. How can we add to our Farman Bardari and our Ibadat? This is a question which has come directly to the host. So you have asked what we would call in English the $64 million question. How do you add? Each one of us, we have different circumstances. But I think all of us, we find that we are lacking in Farman Bardari. In fact, in London, in one Didar, Mawlana Hazir Imam had said, he made this statement in his Farman, that our faith is not a faith of convenience, it is a faith of conviction. I think many of us, because we have pressures from the world, we tend to think it is not easy to practice our faith in our daily lives. But that is what the Imam requires of us, that we practice our faith in our daily lives. He has said you should live your faith. Live your faith, not as something which you do once in a while. So that's something which we need to be aware of. And wherever we find that we are slipping back in Farman Bardari, then we should pull our socks up and we should try to crush our nafs ammara. And so that is very important. And you are quite right that ibadat, if you become regular in ibadat, one of the barakas of ibadat is that it makes you very strong willed, meaning you have very strong willpower. and then you can control your nafs amara even more.
Jihad एक बहुत करना ना.
Yes, this is why the Holy Prophet had said when, they had the victory over one of the physical battles, and the Sahaba, the companions, were very joyous. He said, We have won a small victory today. Now, for the rest of your life, you have to continue the Jihad Akbar, the great struggle. The greatest struggle is against our nafs ammara. Okay. Some of these questions are quite long. Okay, one of the numerous names of the angel of the is Hamtas that I love. Yes, we are going to explain that in our following lectures about the meaning of Alhamd. And yes, this is on the cards for the next. There will be a complete lecture on that. Yeah. Okay. Yes, Karima Devji is asking, how can we understand elevation through physical suffering? Is it the attributes of patience and courage, which that are the goal itself? Are these attributes needed for some higher work in the soul's journey?
मैं नहीं समझा बराबर.
Okay. Instead of repeating that, I will try to answer and then you can add, Fakir Sahib. Patience and courage are not the goal itself. They are a part of our struggle. And because we have said before, I think sometimes, that we seem to think that the spiritual journey is all light and visions and didar. And we have said that it's not like that. We only have to look at the examples of the Holy Prophet and our peers, and more fresh, of course, is the case of Allama Nasiruddin Nasir Hunzai Sahib, that he had to struggle all his 100 years life. Just because he had experienced Ruhaniyat, died before death. He wrote more than 100 books on the esoteric aspects of our faith. He wrote poetry in all these languages. Doesn't mean that he had an easy life. No, he had a very difficult life. And those difficulties are continuing now because there are people who will try to, distort his message. So these difficulties are ongoing, Karima Devji. And we have to be aware that there is so much wisdom when the Imam said there cannot be anywhere on this planet Earth who does not have a problem. So problems are part of our physical life. And the soul has come to the world to struggle. That's something we should take as a principle. And therefore, we need to know that the soul has to progress to, as Maulana Sultan Osha says in his memoirs, there are human souls who have progressed to the highest possible planes of the human soul and higher. So it's an ongoing challenge, and we have to try through knowledge to live up to it. Okay, let's now. Sultanuddin, you had your hand up. If you want to ask your question, you can.
يعني من البزوار Dr. Saib, يعني من البزوار Dr. Saiba. This question is, I think, more of a grammatical. Maybe it has to wait. If it has to wait, it's okay. If not, dua when we say with the name of the Prophet and Ali alayhi salam, because the N or Noon is added. What kind of rule is that? As we say, Muhammadinil Mustafa wa Aliyinil Murtaza. So why is this N or Noon added? What kind of rule is that?
Yes, so this is a grammatical pronunciation. You're quite right, Sultanuddin. We are going to get onto the pronunciations, and Fakir Sahib will try to simplify the Arabic principles of these type of things, but I think that will need to be left for future future lectures. Okay, so inshallah we are going to do that. Yeah.
I mean,
Okay. Okay, yes, somebody asked about Maulana Ali. What did he mean by saying he is the dot under the bar of Bismillah? And Global Lectures have told you that this is explained in quite detail in the last week's lecture. So perhaps you could go back to those lectures rather than us repeating it, right? Okay, are there any other questions? No, then in that case, since we are still recovering from our time lag as well as the difference in temperatures, etc., we would like to finish here with the dua that may Maulana Hazir Imam make it possible for all of us to be present next Sunday to continue our journey of seeking the spiritual strength and the spiritual secrets of our holy dua. Ameen. Ya Rabbal Alameen. See you inshallah next Sunday at the same time. Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad.
yeah, Ali Madad,
Ya Ali Madad.
مولا علي مدد
يا علي مداد
يا
Ali
علي
Madad.
مدد
Mola Ali Madad.